I'm not a historian. I'm more of an activist, as was explained in the introduction. I spent a little more than a year studying the Bible as a young adult, almost daily. But about 10 years ago, I met a couple atheists at work, and I realized that there had to be a lot more atheists out there. So I got on a computer and I started a meetup group for atheists in Broward County. And in a matter of a year, we were up to 120 people showing up at events. And that number has grown quite greatly. I think there are about 600 members now. For a period when I was doing this Bible study, it was because at the time I was the only atheist I knew. Everybody I knew did believe, and I felt out of place. So I started going to different churches and reading the books and doing this daily Bible study because I really wanted to believe. But the more I read, the more inconsistencies I found, and the more that people apologized for them, only answered up more, or it opened up more questions. So eventually I became comfortable as an atheist and started reading science books. And at that point, I pretty much never turned back. But at that point, I also realized that I really didn't like arguing the Bible, whether it was true or not. I was more, like I said, the activist in church-state issues. So at the end of this debate, if anything happens tonight, I hope you don't take anything that I or Mr. Gayton says as, well, gospel. Instead, I hope you'll consider the information that we present tonight, and you'll take it home and you'll investigate it. You'll employ your honest thoughts and allow your sense of reason to challenge what you've been told to think. Become free thinkers. After all, it should be the most important life issue you make. Either it's eternal or it's for the next few decades. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank Nicole and Anita Sanders, all the JU students that are here, guest students, and my esteemed opponent tonight, Ken Lucan, for being here tonight. And as an opening statement, I just want to talk about the big idea of what we're here about. And the two major areas that we're going to discuss tonight, you'll hear it coming from us, reference fields of study that are called epistemology, which is the study of knowing, and presuppositions. That's the foundation upon which we stand, our assumptions, what we believe. We presuppose something. So epistemology and presuppositions will be the two steps that we'll talk about tonight. And worldviews. Worldviews. Worldviews are the filter through which a person makes judgment calls in life. How do they perceive reality? What is reality? It also answers the question of what is God? What is man? What happens after death? Is there such a thing as right or wrong? We will delve into those things tonight. And tonight it's more like theism versus atheism. And the difference between the two, as we talk tonight, you'll understand, is that atheism, I would call it a religion. And I would call it that because it is, in definition, it talks about not believing in God. So God is brought up in the understanding. But also, secular humanism is about the fact that the basic presupposition is that we live in a closed universe of cause and effect. It's a closed universe. Natural laws rule, and there is no room for the supernatural. Absolutely no room for anything supernatural, which speaks of miracles and healings and all of that. No divine intervention. That's the basic presupposition of that side. Where theism teaches that there's an open universe, and that it was created by a transcendent causal agent, a being that stands outside, creates it, and therefore people that hold a theistic worldview believe in the supernatural, in the sense of saying that the Creator has a right to intervene into His creation whenever He deems necessary. And that we call a supernatural act because it's beyond the natural. And so I just want you to be clear tonight that we're talking about two different presuppositions and worldviews about how to approach, because it comes down to, I believe, we're all looking at the same material. As Ken said, looking up at the stars, if we could have looked at it tonight, it's the interpretation of what you see is where the difference comes in, and it has to do with the person's worldview. We will also be talking about the role of faith and reason. Is there such a thing? One of the things that I will espouse tonight is that I believe it takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be a Christian. That's my belief. And last of all, I want to say tonight that in an opening statement, that I am not here tonight because I have read a lot of books or taught classes, and I've done that. But I did not become a Christian because of reading books, the studying apologetics. I, like Ken, went to church. I went to church. The difference was, I got it. I saw the light. I literally had an encounter with the Creator that changed my life. And after that encounter, that ineffable experience to which I cannot put words, and yes, it is a supernatural encounter, then I began to study to bring reason to my faith and explanation and be able to answer people that I knew every day in the community as to what happened to you. That's my personal testimony. So tonight, I ask that you listen carefully. This will be intellectually stimulating, and I'm glad to be here.
Okay, now you guys have had a chance to encounter and to understand the viewpoints, the different viewpoints of our speakers tonight. So going back to our first question, is there such a thing as truth? Mr. McKinnon.
All right, I'll try this again. All right. Is there such a thing as a truth? I was really glad that this was added to the list of questions. I love critical thinking. For me, nothing is too sacred or too holy to be exempt from honest inquiry. There is most definitely a truth or truths. From the day that people's brain became complex enough to reason and understand the world around them, there have been seekers of the truth. These seekers of the truth have been hindered and persecuted by priests and kings, thrones and churches. They were tortured and killed as heretics and infidels. The facts that they discovered were labeled as lies and heresies. Even today, with evolution, quite literally the facts of life are being labeled as lies by fundamentalist religious groups. I ask, is there another theory to the origin of species that is not religion? So what is the truth? Well, the truth is not influenced by traditions, longevity, or majority belief. The truth is not influenced by the status of the discoverer. A truth discovered by a high school dropout is just as valid as if it was discovered by our brightest minds. The truth is supported by facts, and that fact will fit other facts. That's how we know something is true. If a fact is inconsistent with a creed or a religion, or the creed or religion is inconsistent with the facts, that is when inspiration or a miracle happens. In the history of human discovery and invention, not once is miracle or inspiration part of the process. It is 100% natural. And if that's going to be my argument as far as is there a truth? Yes, there is.
Okay. Is there such a thing as truth? In the movie, A Few Good Men, Tom Cruise is asking the general, I want the truth. And the general says to him, you can't handle the truth. And I believe that there are a lot of people on planet Earth that are just like that. There is truth, but you cannot handle it. The definition of truth is telling it like it is, that which corresponds to its object, or that which describes an actual state of affairs. There are even different theories of truth: coherence, pragmatic, performance, and correspondence. And contrary to what is taught in most schools today, truth is not relative, but absolute. If something is true, it is true for all people, at all times, in all places. Now, all truth claims are narrow and exclusive. They deny their opposite. By the law of excluded middles in the law of logic, the law of excluded middle, if one thing is true, the other thing must be false. And so there is falsehood and there is truth. All truth claims exclude the opposite, even religious truth. So if Christianity is true, then secular humanism is not true. Or if secular humanism is true, Christianity or religion is not true. But how do we arrive at truth? Great question. Pilate asked Jesus in the Gospels, what is truth? He's not the first, nor will he be the last. That is, all the philosophers, the Greek philosophers, took that question on, down through the Middle Ages, into the modern era, into postmodernism, where we are today. Truth has been gone at by religions and philosophers, and it will go on ad infinitum until I, as a Christian, believe Jesus comes. So, what about truth? Truth, number one, is not discovered, is discovered, not invented. It exists independent of anyone's knowledge of it. For instance, gravity was there prior to Newton. General relativity was there prior to Einstein discovering it. Truth is transcultural. If something is true, it is true for all people, in all places, at all times. Like mathematical, 2 + 2 is 4 everywhere on planet Earth. Truth is unchanging, even though our beliefs about truth change. Our beliefs about truth change. The example of the Earth being flat, we now know that that's not true, but that was a belief at one time. The truth did not change, just our belief about the Earth changed. Beliefs cannot change a fact, no matter how sincerely they are held, because you can be sincerely wrong. Truth is not affected by the attitude of one professing it, be they proud or humble. And all truths are absolutes. According to the Bible, truth is also a person. His name is Jesus Christ. He said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. And in John 1:1, it says, in the beginning was the Word. The word word in Greek is the word logos, which is intellect, reason. So even from a biblical perspective, the idea of truth is from the beginning. And we have, when we talk about epistemology, which is the study of knowing, then how do we discover truth? Truth is discovered because there has to be certain laws that exist that we can all follow, or we can't communicate or have dialogue. For instance, the law of contradiction, that A cannot be A and non-A at the same time in the same reality. That's the most basic, sorry, Karen, that is the most basic law of communication and logic that there is. The law of causality, that every effect has a cause. The understanding of the reliability of sense perception. We got to believe to some degree that what we see, taste, feel, and look at, smell, that there's a reality to that. Analogical language is important. And as I said, the law of excluded middle. And see, the law of induction. Here's another way we arrive at truth. Drawing conclusions from observation, which we're going to talk about tonight. And that's where the scientific method does come in. I want you to know that from a theistic worldview, there is the truth of Christianity and the truth of science are the same. There is no conflict. I believe there's good science, and I believe there's bad science. And I've met both. And so, as we talk about this, now how does one come to, we're done. All right, that's it.